You could honestly write a movie script on Stetson Bennett's story. That's what Kirk Herbstreit of ESPN told reporters earlier this week. He was breaking down the big national championship game, Monday night, Georgia, TCU. And someone asked him about Stetson Bennett, and that's what he said. And he's exactly right. Listen, the Stetson Bennett story ends in just 3 days. On Monday night, his career at Georgia comes to an end. And I think I could speak for everyone when I say that it has been a long, wild journey. If you're watching this, you already know Stetson Bennett's story from his time playing Baker Mayfield on the scout team for the Rose Bowl, leaving to go to Jones Community College, coming back to Georgia, finally on scholarship, winning the job, actually saving Georgia's behind against Arkansas in the 2020 season opener. It's crazy how long he's actually been the starter at Georgia now. Obviously, JT Daniels took over. He was the guy that I think the staff wanted to be the guy and stay healthy. But, Kirk Herbstreit talks about it, later, and you could read all that on Dog Post. He said the little guy just kept fighting and battling and making plays over and over. Eventually won the job midway through the 2021 season, led Georgia to a national championship, and here we are today. If he beats TCU and ends his career with 2 straight national championships, go ahead and write the movie script, build the statue outside of Sanford Stadium, and put Stetson Bennett in the Hall of Fame. I know a lot of people are not going to like that. They're going to be triggered by it. I still have a lot of friends, people who work in football, even high school coaches, who are still doubting Stetson Bennett and are ready for the Stetson Bennett story, experience, whatever you want to call it, to end. And there's part of me who thinks the Georgia staff is ready to move on as well, but you can't deny what he's done this year. Heisman finalist so far through 14 games. He's thrown for 3,823 yards, 23 touchdowns. He's rushed for another 8 touchdowns. In his career, he's thrown for 8,124 yards, 62 touchdowns. He doesn't necessarily have the numbers that Aaron Murray put up. He doesn't have the talent, the arm talent, the, overall talent, I guess, you could say, than Matthew Stafford. Hasn't won as many games as David Green that I'm aware of. David Green, I think, ended his career with 42. But Stetson is probably going to go down as the greatest quarterback in Georgia history. And again, it's one of the best stories in college football history. The fact that he is a Georgia guy from South Georgia, grew up pulling for the Dogs, had some scholarship offers to go to some smaller schools, free ride. Instead, he walks on at Georgia and battled and battled and battled, won the job, and has just done his thing. Dude's a gunslinger. He wants to be Brett Favre out there, making all the throws. He has the moments. He has the throws. And he's going to go down as, one of the greatest quarterbacks, not only in Georgia history, but maybe of all time. Listen, in 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, you look back at the history of college football, and if Georgia wins this second national title, you can't talk about college football history without this 2-year stretch at Georgia. And you can't talk about that story without mentioning Stetson Bennett and what he had to accomplish. And it'd be a little different if dude was from Texas, California, Florida, North Carolina, wherever, and he came and he did this. But the fact that he's a Georgia kid, I think, makes his story that much better. And I think most Georgia fans, if you told them 5 years ago, hey, Georgia's going to win a national title, would you rather have it, be, led by a kid from Georgia or a kid from whoever, Ohio, Florida, Alabama, whoever? They'd say the Georgia kid, right? It just makes the story that much better. And it wouldn't be the same if Georgia had won a national championship 10, 12, 15 years ago either. But the fact that he led them to a national title after 41 years, 41-year drought, South Georgia kid, walk-on, was able to pass the 5 stars on the depth chart and lead Georgia to a national championship over Alabama. The story's crazy, and it's something that I don't think we'll probably ever see again. I mean, I'm going to ask this to you all, and you drop a comment in the section below. Is there a better story in college football history? All right, the Baker Mayfield story is great. Walk-on, Heisman Trophy, led Oklahoma to the playoffs, not a championship, obviously, because the Georgia Bulldogs were on the way. But it is a crazy, crazy story, and I think with the story coming to an end on Monday night, it'd be nuts for us to not talk about Stetson Bennett's legacy, what he's meant to this program, what he's meant to college football. And even Kirk Herbstreit said, I'm a college football nut. My job is to analyze, call these games, and understand football, college football, like the back of my hand. And he said, I will never forget the story of Stetson Bennett and what he's had to overcome. He proved the coaches wrong. He's proven the fans wrong. And if he wins a second straight title, go ahead and write the movie script, because you can't write it any better than this. So this is really just a Stetson Bennett appreciation video. And I do think that the dude's should be in the College Football Hall of Fame if he leaves with another championship after Georgia went 41 years without one. Old Stetson Bennett from Pierce County, Georgia, is the guy to lead them to 2 straight. Now, yes, I get that he's had, last year he had the best defense in college football history, outside of maybe Alabama 2011 on his side. That Georgia won last year's national championship because of the defense, number one. This year, the defense has been outstanding again. They've been vulnerable against the pass the last 2 games, but Stetson Bennett has led this team offensively, and he's throwing touchdowns, and every once in a while he'll make a little mistake here and there, but for the most part, he's leading them down the field, and they are scoring points, a lot of points, and I think they're going to get into the 40s against TCU as well. So if he rides out into the sunset with a 3-touchdown performance, maybe a long ball that, is the game-sealing touchdown in the 3rd or 4th quarter, and they win another title, the haters need to come out and say, I was wrong. I know no one in the history of the world, whether you're talking about sports or whatever, wants to say those 3 words, I was wrong. But if you've doubted Stetson Bennett, you have to come out and you need to say, I was wrong about Stetson Bennett. Everyone should hear those words coming out of your mouth. And I doubted him in the beginning, of course. He wasn't the 5-star guy. He didn't have 5 stars next to his name out of high school. But he's accomplished something that 5 stars who've come through Athens couldn't do. So I think towards the end of last year, I bought in. I said, okay, this guy can lead Georgia to a national championship. And then he goes out and has this incredible performance against Michigan, and then leads him to a championship against Alabama. So it took me a little while to really believe in Stetson Bennett. And then coming into this year, he was the guy. And I think we all, thought that, hey, Georgia can do this again. And I think most thought Alabama's the team to beat in 2020. That's what we heard all offseason, right? Georgia lost too many guys, especially on defense, to the NFL draft, including George Pickens, Zamir White, James Cook on offense. Jamari Sawyer, who's playing incredible. Falcons decided not to take him. They took Justin Schaefer instead. That's a video for another time of the Falcons being the Falcons. But Stetson Bennett is the face of the team. He's been the face of the team. He's been the story of the team outside of the incredible defense. And I just think, once Monday night happens, win or lose, no one is going to really want to talk about Stetson Bennett as much. They're going to want to talk about Carson Beck. That's going to be the guy we talk about throughout the offseason, starting January 11th, probably, and forward. It's going to be Carson Beck time. So with 3 days to go, I think Georgia fans need to take a step back and acknowledge what Stetson Bennett has done and what he could accomplish on his way out to end his career with 2 straight national titles. It's crazy. And I think Georgia fans should acknowledge and give him his flowers and take a picture with the statue when it should get built. And again, maybe not if he goes out and throws 3 picks and they lose the game against TCU. Then, the legacy, his career is slightly tarnished a little bit. I don't want to say tarnished, but that's what people will remember. If they lose this game, people will think about Stetson Bennett as, oh, yeah, he led Georgia to a national championship, but didn't beat TCU. I think they're going to win the game. And I think that Stetson Bennett, again, would have the best story in college football history. If I'm wrong, drop a comment in the section below and tell me why. If you think there's another better story out there, let me know. This is all about, conversation, right? And this is what YouTube is about, us creating content for you to talk about. So if I'm wrong, let me know. But if they beat TCU, put him in the Hall of Fame. He might not have the, what's the word I'm looking for? The credentials. I don't know what you have to be in the College Football Hall of Fame, but you can't talk about college football history for the foreseeable future without mentioning this 2-year stretch from the Georgia Bulldogs And you can't talk about that without talking about the story of Stetson Bennett, former walk-on, South Georgia guy, leading the Dogs to 2 straight titles. So again, Stetson Bennett appreciation video. He still has one more game to go, but if he leads Georgia to a championship on Monday night, he might be the greatest Bulldog of all time. He might. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Subscribe to the newsletter. We've got a lot of free stories for the next few days. We don't do free stories all year. Make sure you're reading all the free stories that we have. It's all on the newsletter, so make sure you check it out. A lot of content coming. Media Day is tomorrow. Tons of stuff on Dog Post. Tons. So make sure you're reading everything that we have to offer, and you do that by subscribing to the newsletter. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. What do you think about Stetson Bennett? What is his legacy? Are they building the statue if they win this game? Is he a college football Hall of Famer? I think he is. Still needs to beat TCU to get in, but I think that's what's going to happen, and we're going to talk about that more over the next few days. Guys, thanks for watching this video. As always, stay tuned to the next one coming up right now. I'll see you over on Dog Post.